Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. This one has state ramifications, but if you listen to what Kandice is going to tell us, this is stuff that we have to cover throughout the country. Kandice Webber, she is a nurse. She's one who went during our pandemic and saved a lot of lives. Kandice Webber, she is a political activist here in Houston, Texas, that never forgets that you have to be politically involved. Kandice, welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back. One of these times we're going to get on and we're going to hang out and just chat it up about our wins.
Yes, we will. But look, Kandice, I want to get busy with what's going on here in Texas. Texas legislature right now is a mess.
Yes.
We have a whole lot of laws that are being passed that, that shouldn't be. But when you have a unforced error that isn't really an unforced error,
right?
It's an issue. And we're talking about Senate Bill 29, and as well as other bills associated on the House side with that.
Right.
Harold Dutton, a Democratic state representative, he decided to do something heinous. So I'm going to leave it to you to explain in detail to the audience what has happened here over the last few weeks.
I've spoke about Harold Dutton many times before. I am a huge advocate for traditional public education. And Harold Dutton is at it again, quite frankly. So 3270, House Bill 3270 was yet another attempt by Harold Dutton to take over HISD in particular, but then open the floodgates on hostile school takeovers by the Texas Education Agency. Now, the bad part about this, and actually there are no good parts about it, is this bill that Dutton authored. First of all, it was very poorly written. And I am thankful to Dr. Allen for being keen on proofreading, right? It was a poorly written bill. But this bill would have been one retroactive, okay? So nobody's safe from that happened in the past. Like, we're going to go back in the past and we're going to get you, right? So this bill would have been retroactive. It would have completely given an unelected bureaucrat the ability to take over our schools for whatever reason they deem necessary, to be investigated for whatever reason they saw was necessary to be investigated. This unelected bureaucrat gets to take over our school districts in all of Texas. And we have no process to appeal his decision. There is no judge and no court, no jury that can overturn his decision. It is what it is. We have to take it, and there is absolutely nothing that can be done about it. Does that sound like a democracy?
It's not a democracy, but sadly, Kandice, as I understand it, that bill went down.
Yes. So the bill dies, but the bill dies because it's poorly written, and I don't want that to be lost on anyone. The bill didn't die because of its lack of moral, just presence of morality, right? We keep it real basic. It died on technicality. So late in I'm talking 1-2 o'clock in the morning is when it died. I'm watching this happen, right? So the very next morning, before the news cycle really even breaks, Harold Dutton has decided to revive Senate Bill 29 that was shut down in his education committee. This is where I almost lose it, right? Because Harold Dutton is intentionally bullying the children of Texas because he didn't get his way. He didn't get his takeover bill. He can't take over HISD he's going to throw trans kids to the wind like they're collateral damage.
Tell us what he did, because that was so sad.
So he goes and he says that, and full on said that in retaliation for 3270 being voted down, taking this back to the House committee, and we're going to revote on it. Right. And so then when it was voted down, he abstained even the first time. He still didn't fight for trans kids. He just abstained from voting. This time, when it goes back in front of his committee, he votes yes, and so does Betancourt. So now we've got the wins they've got the win that they need to put this in front of the House. The dirty politics. He played dirty politics and leveraged trans kids to teach other legislators a lesson. And so now when we thought that we were done fighting SB 29, the parents of trans kids all over this state and really all over this country, because there's a lot of people that watch what happens in Texas politics and they try to push things in that same way, right? So the parents of trans kids thought that they were off the chopping block this time, because they're always on the chopping block in Ledge, always. They thought they were safe. And then like a thief in the night, right? Harold Dutton takes their safety from them. What kind of person does that?
I want to read something from you from the Texas Tribune. It said as follows: after his bill was stalled, Representative Lina Ortega, Democrat of El Paso, who worked with Allen on the objection that you spoke about, said she saw Dutton walk toward her at the back of the chamber. He said something to the effect of, "Because of what you did, SB 29 is coming back up," Ortega said. In other words, since you guys didn't give me the bill that I want, I am going to screw those kids, and it's going to be on you that I'm going to screw these kids. Because you didn't give me what I want. Has nothing to do with the legislation. Everything to do with you didn't give me what I wanted.
Right. Petulant child. But this is the same man that thinks that he has the ability to stand judgment over our children who are burdened, heavy burdened by his bad legislature because of what you did. Now I'm going to go out here and hurt some children. We don't need people like that on any side. You know, how is this man not considered a full-on predator? Like he is like public education enemy number one. And unfortunately, this man looks like me, you know, like it's my kids, children that look like me that are getting hurt the worst. You know, it's LGBTQIA kids that are getting hurt, targeted the worst. And for what?
Let's talk about for what. Let's really talk about for what, because the reality is nobody does what he does unless there's some ulterior motive. And I think it is this, given the state of the legislature right now, it is more than time to speculate what could be driving him and hunting down what could be driving him. So tell me what you found.
Okay, so, and this is actually, you know, and I've said it many times, anything I say, please fact check me, because when you're looking to make sure I'm correct, you're gonna find more things and maybe some I didn't find, so share, right? So this is a real quick search on Transparency USA, right? Dutton's top donors, Texas Trial Lawyers Association, Texas Realtors Political Action Fund, Charter Schools Now, PAC. We've got Texas lawsuit reform. Just those right there is every single reason he has to gut public education.
Exactly.
By any means, okay, by any means at all, because we've talked about charter schools, right? Charter schools, if you're for charter schools, then that means it's good for real estate development. Take the best land for little of nothing and create these multi-million-dollar structures that we can't afford to live in the first place, right? We're talking about trial, mass incarceration of Black kids. You're on the education committee. And you can push straight through every bill you want to that fast tracks our kids to the school of prison pipeline. You know what I'm saying here? And then charter packs just flat out, you know, number 3 on the list. You know, we don't even need to dig into that, but this man is bought.
It is
Okay.
clearly that that's what's, and what we have to get clear, Candice, is the following, right? Because many charter schools have black fronts on it. In other
Mhm.
words, it
Yeah.
seems like, oh, black people who are saying the public education system is not working for them, and we have these black professionals that own these charter schools supposedly are going to come in
Right.
and solve and save the day, as opposed to having our system fix the damn schools.
Right. Right.
Right? The
Right.
system should fix
Absolutely.
the public schools.
Absolutely.
I want you to point this out. I think you pointed this out before. Charter schools, first of all, cost more than
Traditional
public
schools.
schools. And the
Yes,
reality is teachers make less and you get what you pay for.
that's exactly right.
So please
Exactly.
explain why, all the propaganda and all the media that goes into trying to make charter schools look like something that's good. Explain to us why it's a danger, and specifically a danger to POCs.
So charter schools are actually there's many things that make charter schools a danger, and in that itself, because it feeds so many other bad systems. It really is. Charter schools are a super predator on Black and brown kids, right? So charter schools offer, and I'm just going to really speed this up, but charter schools offer less education um, for the same cost, if not more, than you will get in a public traditional school. The only difference is they get these land grabs so they can dress up this box real nice, real pretty, and make you think that you're getting something better than you did in that traditional school. But the reality of it is your child is funding that, right? So wherever your child goes, the dollars go. If your child goes to a traditional public education school, it's a huge pot, right? If your child goes to a charter school, it's a much smaller pot. And they are not regulated by the state the way the public education system is. So they can whoop your child if they want to, right? They can force your child to learn things that you don't want them to learn. Like, our ancestors weren't slaves. They were actually indentured servants. You know, they can do all kinds of wild stuff because Texas Ledge, the State Board of Education, does not dictate what their curriculum should look like. Okay, so now these charter schools are here. They're selecting the best of us to go to these schools. So the rest of us, we are stuck, you know, at a poorly funded traditional school. And that just makes the rest of us who are just regular old people going through regular old stuff look horrible, right? So then more people start moving out of the neighborhood. My kid can't go to this good school over here. But if I make a decision to live 35 minutes away from my job, 35 minutes away from my church, my everything, then my kid can go to a little bit better school. So now that I'm gone, my property's up for grabs. Now, I'm a single mom, like in the best situation. I'm a single mom. I just up and moved. You know, I'm going to try to get as much as I think I can for my land. And just to throw out a number here, I'm going to say I'll take $100,000. Well, my quarter-acre lot for $100,000 just got turned into a couple of million for these scavengers that are in line with these charter schools because they bought it for nothing and flipped it for something that we will never be able to see the inside of. This is what Harold Dutton is supporting. So, yeah, Harold Dutton is a problem because Harold Dutton has no problem making deals with people who intentionally do us harm. We don't need Dan Patrick's when we have Harold Dutton's. You know what I'm saying?
And he's actually more dangerous than Dan Patrick, because
Way more
the
dangerous.
mere fact that you see him as somebody who would be fighting for you, we already know Dan
Yeah,
Patrick is the enemy. We
right.
know that. Dan Patrick
Yes.
cares nothing about us, but we would have an indication that this guy maybe cares about us. And that is why you speaking out is so important, because we have to get people to understand and not buy the rhetoric, but understand how things work. And the reason I wanted to get into charter schools specifically is we understand that that is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to privatize public education into a private system, and in that fashion, enrich a few. And the thing about it is we get nothing.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, when we've talked before, we always want to connect the dots, right? And I want to spend a little bit of time connecting dots.
Please do.
For people right now. And I want to make sure I get the numbers right, because this is some big deal kind of stuff. All right. So Senate Bill 1365 is the companion to Harold Dutton's poorly written bill. Well, Betancourt is a whole lot better at writing these bills, right? But it is the exact same nefarious thing. And Paul Betancourt also, charter schools, Charter PAC now is one of its biggest donors.
Right.
Okay. So House Bill 1365 here is coupled. This bill right here is intended initially to take down HISD. But what it also does is opens the gates to take up any school district that they want. Like I am from Washington County, Brenham, Texas, Bluebell ice cream, fields of bluebonnets, right? Rolling hills. And I grew up there. When I tell you those Bluebell commercials are, no, we don't ride cows to school and whatnot, but the rolling hills, the beauty of Washington County is exactly what they say it is. Now let's talk about real estate. Again, let's apply that, right? Let's apply how charter schools work. So the school district, Brenham ISD, is failing, okay? It is failing. There are schools that are having very difficult times, right? Well, this bill right here, all the TA commissioner has to do is take a look over at Brenham. We're like, you know what? They've done it one too many times. Let's take it over. And once he pulls the trigger on it, now what happens in my neighborhood here in urban areas is going to happen in your pretty little rural towns, right? Because you're going to get so much money for a quarter lot here in the Trey, in Third Ward. Can you imagine what you will get? What the turnaround you will get on an acre in rural Washington County. So those poor white people up the way with co-course and all of them fine individuals, they need to be paying attention to this bill. This bill is not, it starts with my house, but it is meant to take their house over too, because their property looks just as good to real estate development as mine does. You
have to feed the beast.
You have to feed the beast.
And the beast is going to eat what's easy to get first.
Yep.
And they just use us training material on how to get the rest.
Right, exactly. This is playbook. And the charter industry has done this all over this country. You know, it's the same play by play, right down to you've got a spread of electeds that you're in their pocket. You've got one infiltrator, right? That looks like the communities that you want. You're one Trojan horse.
Harold Dutton.
I used to think it was AJ Craybill. Wrong. It's Harold Dutton.
Right.
Right. To sell your mission, to make you look not so racist, right? You've got these unexpected communities, underserved and disenfranchised parents. You know, it's play by play. It happens in every single state. And the same people are getting fatter and fatter and wealthier. And our children are hurting because of it. I mean, right now, we've got House Bill 3979 is literally the old dude from, and I say old dude from the Woodlands because right now I'm getting like fired up because you know how I feel about our kids.
Yes.
This guy wants to pass a bill to make sure that government and history teachers are not teaching critical race theory. They're not teaching the truth, that pretty much you have everything you have because of white supremacy and a government that feeds and supports white supremacy. They don't want to talk about that. But this is the thing. This is the thing that really kills me. This is why I look at Harold Dutton, Black woman to Black man, and shake my damn head. Because right now, they're doing stuff like this that is intentionally putting their knees on our necks. Because the State Board of Education is already Republican run. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there is no need for you to do something like this, because the organization where it rests, the responsibility rests with that group right there, they're already on your team. And they're already setting the curriculum. So you would have to actually fix something that isn't broken for this to pass. You are intentionally trying to hurt our children. And instead of Harold Dutton blocking for me, for our color, he's out here trying to do us harm. We can't even watch cats like this from the woodlands because we're too busy watching our own.
Mm-hmm.
Harold Dutton got to go. It's
So
a wrap.
Kandice, give me a closer and give us a mission. What should we do?
Here's my closer. If you live in District 142, if you are Black or brown, and you are serious about running, if you are serious about challenging Harold Dutton, there's a very long list of people, including myself, that would love to talk to you. We want to find out what you think your challenges are, so we can help you mitigate any type of risk, because Harold Dutton has got to go. You deserve better. Our children deserve better. And there is one of you in District 142 that will do right by our kids. We want to talk. We're interested and we want to help.
And they will be 100% supported by a huge group of dedicated grassroots activists, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kandice Webber, it's been my pleasure to have you on Politics Done Right. As usual, thank you so kindly for all that you do for the community. Thank you so kindly for all that you do for Texas. And to put it bluntly, thank you so kindly for what you have done for the country. You have been all over this country, from Pennsylvania all the way back, as you've been a nurse helping out with our pandemic. Keep up the great work.
I'm home now. You tell Harold Dutton, Kandice is home.
He knows.
Game on.
He knows. Right. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.